Welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's up?
Derek, we got cake. I'm fired up. And we are with a new friend. So, you're not eating. You said you don't want any cake. Whatever. We'll talk about it later. But let's start with introductions, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Well, my name is Katie, or Katya. In Russian, it's Yekaterina. That's the full name. I was born in Belarus. I was 4 years old when my family came to the United States. We came right to Buffalo, so we've been here since '98. And this is my bakery.
How amazing.
I know.
So, how did this whole thing start? Did you basically follow another family member around the kitchen and learn, or?
No. I got a Martha Stewart cookie book when I was 13 from my mom, and I made a ton of recipes in there, and then I sort of went off from there. So, a lot of respect for her. Not the embezzlement charges, but, the rest of it.
True. Yeah, she did have a small little stint. It was a couple months. I think it was 6 months, 4 months.
Yeah, but she did, I think it was 9.
9 months?
Or maybe it was 6, but I think they told her 9, but she got out early for good behavior.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure I'm sure there's a little more involved, but, Am I supposed to hear myself through this? Because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
There you go.
There we go. Okay. I can hear myself
perfect.
now.
We got you. Little audio engineer to my right. So, in regards to...
Why did you guys choose Buffalo?
Yeah, that was literally my question.
Our aunt was here. So my aunt was here, and she sponsored us. We actually came for religious freedom.
Okay.
Because the Soviet Union was very atheist, and our family was very Christian. So it broke up in around '93, but, nothing changes overnight. So we filed for the petition. It took a little while. I don't know exactly how long, but it was hard to get out. Mm-hmm. So we filed, and eventually we got accepted. So our whole family, except for my one brother, moved here in '98. He came 2 years later because he was getting married. There's 7 of us, 7 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest. Everybody else is married, kids. I got 18 nieces and nephews.
Jesus.
The holidays are interesting.
Exhausting?
Yes, they're awful sometimes. So that's that.
Do you remember much about Belarus when you were there?
I remember a little bit. We were very self-sufficient. We had big gardens. We grew everything. I remember we had chickens. We had an outhouse. We didn't have indoor plumbing at the time. Our house now does, but before it didn't. It was, I was 4. There was little bits and pieces. So there was 3, I want to say our house, there was sort of 3 apartments. Our grandma lived in the back. Or 2 apartments. Ours was in the front. Our grandma lived in the back, and a huge field, bigger than this whole entire room over here. That was our garden, so we grew everything. Herbs, plants. We're self-sufficient. We're very poor.
That's crazy, though. So you came over here, and then you just were like, I want to start being self-sufficient also here?
Well, our family is, everybody still has gardens. We have 2 gardens in the back, things I hate gardening, so I don't do it, but I work here. But everybody sort of, held up their own. Everybody worked from a young age. I was 15 when I started working. We just sort of did it. Nobody really taught us. We just sort of did.
You just grinded?
We just grinded, or ground, or whatever.
Are desserts and cakes and stuff traditional? Are they big in that culture or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
not particularly the ones that I make. Everyone's always you should make Russian cakes, you should make Russian desserts, but they take so much time, and I don't want to do that.
So what's the difference between what you do now? Is it Americanized, or?
It is. So I want to say I do American cakes, but they're better than the American cakes.
Sure.
Because I do everything from scratch. I don't use American buttercream. I don't use bottled lemon juice because I've worked in a few bakeries. And granted, they have to make bulk items because they're big and they're well known. So they have to take shortcuts because there's no other way. Otherwise, I don't think they'd make any money on anything because of all their overhead costs. But I try to do everything from scratch as much as possible, and I make baklava, which is really good, and I make the cakes and the cupcakes, the custom cakes. Obviously, they're my big thing, but I try to make it as good as possible. I don't like making anything too sweet. I just try to tone it down a little bit so that the Americans will buy it and the Russians will buy it.
How large is that community in general? Not even just Russian, but European.
In Buffalo?
Yeah.
It's huge. Everybody either knows everybody or they know of them. So there's a lot of Russian, Ukrainian. There's like Turkish Russians, Armenian Russians. So we're Russian, Ukrainian. And there's a few Russian churches around in the area as well. But there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't realize that there was a Ukrainian market around the corner from my house.
I've never been there.
Really?
I've never been there. I know there's that. There's like a Russian store right down here on William. It's called the Slavic Bazaar, and there's one on Union, and there's one on Niagara Falls Boulevard, and I think there's one in NT on their main street, like close to Webster and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton. There's Russian stores around in the area, but yeah, they're popular. I mean, everybody buys it. Everybody goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Russian food at home. Like, we don't, like, I've never had canned soup in my life. Everybody makes everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everything's from scratch all the time. Because if you buy it, they're like, why do you want to buy food when we have food at home? Why would you go to a restaurant and spend that money when you can make that food yourself? And I'm just like, because it's easy. Because I Uber Eats here once in a while, and it's just convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just convenient. So that's that.
Good for you.
So you started off at other bakeries. Is that what sparked? Was the job at other bakeries opportunistic, and you're just like, this is kind of where my path is going to go, or did you always want to get into baking?
Well, that's a loaded question. So I went to BOCES for culinary arts because I wanted to get out of high school.
Yeah.
And it was, it's half a day your last 2 years. I did not like high school. I kind of like blocked it out of my memory. But I went to BOCES for that. I was good at the baking, so I went to college for that because it was fun. And I read all these, I read all these recipe books, so I knew everything as far as the baking goes. 3 types of meringue buttercreams. There's, how to make pot au choux, how to do this, how to temper chocolate, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I did that all on my own before I even got to college. So I aced that part. And then we had to do our internships there, so I did 2. The one was like, they had a class. Oh God, what was it called? I don't remember.
It's okay.
But they basically, production. It was for the casino.
Okay.
Because the casino is right in Niagara Falls. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and you make all the desserts for there. And then in my second internship, I went to Dessert Deli. And as soon as I finished it, they hired me there. So I was there for 6 years. And then I sort of quit once, and then I went back. We don't talk about that. And then I worked at Muscarell's for half a year, I think June of last year till the end of December last year. And then in November, I got this lease, and then I opened up to the public 2 weeks ago.
Cheers.
Thanks.
So what was this place before you renovated? Because literally everything is like new.
Yes. Well, it's a lot of paint too. So it's fresh paint. The paint looks new. It was La Verdad Cafe, which is a little barbecue shop. They're actually 2 blocks down the street. Their food is excellent. You should check it out. It's delicious. And before that, I think it was a barbershop or a salon, and they used to move a lot of drugs through the place. So I was told by 3 people that they would move like $250,000 of heroin and cocaine every weekend.
Really?
Through here, yes.
Profitable business.
I know, I came at the wrong time. So that's the story of this. I'm learning as I go. Like, the people in the neighborhood, they'll tell you things, and it's like, well, if I knew, I would have thought twice. But no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
So this place came on the market and you jumped to it, or were you okay?
I was in Restaurant Depot, and the people who were in here before, their names are pastors Vivian and Al, the ones that own La Verdad down the street. They asked me if I had a bakery because I had like flour, sugar, butter in my cart, and I said no. And then Al goes, well, do you want one? And I said, well, I was gonna start looking this year. And they're like, well, we're moving out of this place, do you want to come look at it? And I'm not from here, so I live in Pendleton. And I was driving down the street, and I was like, no, I don't want this. But the space is nice. It's not that bad. It's just it's old. It's run down and old. I love the space. I love the interior. There's a lot of room. There's only one of me. And a little paint did the trick, and a couple of other minor fixes. And
oh, so the floor was already here?
The floor was here. So the floor is concrete, but I painted it. I just sort of splattered it because I don't like washing the floor, so it looks less dirty like that if people walk all over it. Because if it were one color, you'd see the streaks and stuff,
Right.
but it's all streaked up, so I'm like, yeah, we can get away with it a little longer.
That's awesome. Good idea.
So that was that, yeah.
What kind of dessert is your favorite?
I make really good baklava. I have a really bad shoulder twitch right now. I'm sorry. It's really bothering me. I make baklava. I'm assuming you had it. You were in Europe. Yeah. So I do that. My dad's a beekeeper.
Okay.
So I use honey right out of our backyard. And I do 3 kinds. I do it with pistachios. I do walnuts. And I do pecans. That's good. That's my favorite thing here, probably.
You as a beekeeper, did you want to get into beekeeping?
No.
Did you think about that or
No,
no?
never.
Not into it.
Never, not into it. We had funny story. You can freeze bees because they hibernate. Like if you freeze them the right way, they don't die. So I remember opening up a freezer one time, and there's this plastic bag filled with bees, and I'm like, Dad, what the hell is this? And he goes, just don't even worry about it. And I was like, okay. So then one day I come in, it was like springtime, and it's on the kitchen table, and then I come back 2 hours later, and they're swarming the house because they woke up. You know, because it warmed up, and then they woke up and they got out of the bag and they were just flying around. So that's my bee story.
It's
I mean, is that a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's just a Tuesday at the house.
all bees or queen bees, or do they just
Bees,
freeze?
they're just bees.
any of them?
I mean, I'm not
Like I don't know if they
sure.
like extracted the queen for like next year's. I don't know how this works.
I don't know how it was just bees. I don't think there were any queen bees in there. But my dad, a few years ago, he went to Russia, and I don't know how he did this, but he smuggled bees from there to here. You're supposed to have a license or a permit, and he took this little container, and it was like this wire cage, and he stuffed it in his suitcase, and they all survived. So now we have Russian bees in our backyard.
And that was 1,000% more than 10 years ago. So we don't have to worry about any laws or anything crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
sure.
Anyways, so
Was I supposed to tell you that? Should I have not?
I love it. We'll just keep rolling.
Okay.
So in regards to cakes and cupcakes, most people think, is that a wedding cake? Or do you specialize cakes for specific events? Is it just, did you say I'm only making this kind of cake, or are you just making whatever order comes in?
I mean, I have a list of flavors as far as that goes that people can choose from, but I do birthday cakes, wedding cakes, all sorts of cakes, kids cakes. I don't like doing kids cakes, so I didn't put any of the faux up. So, you know, I'm trying to pick and choose here. I don't really turn a whole lot down. I am versatile. I can do pretty much anything, and if you're willing to pay, I'm willing to make it. I don't do the as they call them, the exotic cake. I don't do the penis and the vagina ones.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't do that. Especially because when I was, you live with your parents and things like that, and they're, conservative household. I don't want my dad to come in and there's like a big
Right.
phallic. I'm like, Dad.
So when you were going back to your previous jobs at Dessert Deli and all your internships and everything, what point were you like, I want to stop working for somebody and I want to open my own business?
I started thinking about it probably a couple years ago, and then I don't want to say I didn't get along with my boss, but there were some moments where we didn't agree with each other. The things about like Dessert Deli and Muskrels, they're known for certain things. And they do well at them, and people come in for that, and I want to do something different, but because they're so known for it, they don't need to change.
Sure.
Because they make profit off of it. So I just wanted to go my own route. Like, I like a more modern look. I feel like they're a little outdated, more like Wilton. I like tall cakes versus the short ones. I like a more modern feel. I like my own style. I like to create my own hours. I can turn people down if I want to, if I'm too busy. If I don't want to make something, I don't have to do it here.
Right.
So I just wanted to go off on my own, I guess.
Were you doing cakes on the side while you were still working with them to sell to other customers, or did you just start doing the cakes right when you bought this building?
No, I was doing cakes at home for, family and friends and things like that for a little while. And there's a huge family, so I got 18 nieces and nephews.
Are you like the go-to for all the birthday parties then?
Sort of. They don't all get
That's why
that.
you hate doing kids' cakes.
Yes, one of the reasons. So,
I love this.
There's a lot. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. They just, I don't like it. They want like a Mario theme or like an LOL theme or oh God, the Baby Shark ones.
Yeah.
It's just get a topper. Go to Walmart. Because then they're like, well, they don't cost as much over there. I'm like, well, then go over there. But their work isn't as good as yours. Well, that's why they cost less.
Right.
Yeah. And then family, like Russians, half the Russians who come, they're either cheap or they're not. And if they're cheap, they're really cheap. And they're not going to pay. But then they're like, well, we're family. I'm like, well, that's too bad. we see each other at Christmas. But that's it. Yeah, no. Don't like the kids' cakes. I like the modern feel. I don't know. I guess I don't want to work for anybody anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, we get it. So hence why we're all sitting at this table.
Yeah.
So in regards to, just in case, we love our jobs and our boss.
Right.
Chill out. So anyways, okay. So for the cakes, when you talk about your feel and design, do you just wake up and have different things that you pull from inspiration-wise? Because they're unique, but they're elegant on top of that. Okay. So how do you kind of blend your style into your baking?
Well, I'm on Instagram a lot.
Okay.
I follow a lot of other cake decorators and whatnot, so you pick something up, or you see like a fabric print, or you see a certain style, like this one right over here. The size of it, I saw somewhere else, and I liked the actual silhouette of it, but I wanted my own thing on it, so I made it white instead of black, and I don't know, you sort of play around with it too, and when you try something for the first time, sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to, but it looks better, or it's different, or you get a different texture, so you just try it, and if it looks good, great, and if it doesn't, you just do it again.
So are there stages to coming up with, say this design, which we'll take a nice photo of it and post it on Instagram so people know what we're referencing in this interview, but do you work on something that's fake, or do you full on bake the cake and then work on the design aspect afterwards? So you're consistently just making cakes to then work on them for the design feature?
Oh, no. If it's for an order, I just do it right on the cake. This I did because I want them displayed. But at home, before I got this place, I didn't do faux. There was no point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, no, normally most of the time, people send me a picture to go off of or give me an idea. Or sometimes they'll be like, I want you to replicate this. And I hate that. Especially if it's something more modern. If it's not like a kid's cake. Mm-hmm. Kid's cake is fine. You want me to replicate it, great. I'll do that. It's less for me to think about. But then if they do something that's fancy or more modern and they're like, well, I want exactly this. I want something that's original. I was like, well, somebody has it already. It's not original.
Right.
But I can play off of it and make it original. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just depends on the person too. And right. I have some customers that have been ordering from me for years, and they kind of trust me, and especially if they have a nice budget, mm-hmm. they'll allow some play. That's great. I mean, if you want to go full force like Kardashian party, be my guest. I'll make your cake over the top. Yeah.
So do you base your pricing on how many people the cake would feed?
So I base it off of the serving size and the design. So if it takes me, 5 hours to decorate, it's going to cost more than something that takes an hour. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on the size and the labor.
So when somebody contacts you for a cake, what do you need to know? You need to know how many people are here, and mm-hmm. then what type of event it's for, and then you just want the creative freedom to do whatever you want?
Sort of. So I ask for serving size, for flavor, obviously, if they have a design in mind, or at least the theme. If they have a theme in mind, they're like, well, I didn't look for anything. Yeah, I tell them I'll come up with something. Mm-hmm. But they'll usually tell me, they're like, oh, it's for a birthday. If it's a wedding, I'll try to sit down with them and go through everything. Oh my God, I didn't get you plates here. Let me get you a plate.
We literally don't need a plate unless you really want us to have a plate.
I don't care if you.
Okay, yeah, no, we're fine.
So what do we have here in front of us? You brought a tasting thing.
Yes. So I had 2 consultations yesterday, 2 wedding consultations, and I gave you guys the leftovers.
Perfect.
Long story short.
Are we getting married?
Listen. The housewives already know that we're basically already married, so whatever.
So there you go. So this one right here, the one that's a chocolate cake, it's got chocolate mousse in it. Mm-hmm. They're all iced in a Swiss meringue vanilla buttercream. I really hope they're not dry because they set out a little bit yesterday.
No.
Okay, good.
So when you said when we first started that you're not a traditional American bakery.
Right.
What did you mean by that? And how does your cake differ from other bakeries in the area?
Well, as far as I know, most bakeries use a cake mix because it's easier. I do everything from scratch. I tweak my recipes. I'll try something if I like it, but think it's too sweet. I'll cut down the sugar. I'll, do a little here and there. I use a different buttercream. Every place I've gone to has either American buttercream, which is pretty much butter, shortening, and a lot of powdered sugar. I make a meringue. And then I add real butter to it, and I make the meringue with sugar, with real granulated sugar that I melt down. And it's lighter, it's fluffier. You don't get that cake you feel in your mouth from the Crisco, because it's like chapstick. It's disgusting. It really is. And then I know other bakeries, they buy their buttercream, and it's vegan. So it's not buttercream.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love how blunt you are.
I am blunt. We're Russian.
I know. Yes.
This is incredible. And you said that you were scared that this is going to be dry.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this fresh.
It sat out for a little while, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it is fresh.
Yeah, I put it together yesterday, so it's fresh-ish.
Can you imagine it yesterday? If it's this good right now?
No, I would just start eating everything around me.
So when you put stuff up on the wall here, what do you make? Speaking of eating everything, is this just all like plastic that you decorate?
It's styrofoam, so I order styrofoam pieces in the sizes that I need, and then I cover them in fondant. So all the decorations here are in fondant, well, almost all of them. The flowers I used fake flowers for. I don't want to work with sugar flowers because I think they look very, very bulky, and I don't want to make my own because nobody wants to pay for that. And I'd rather work with fresh flowers. So I just buy fake ones to showcase, and I'm just hoping people will try to go with fresh florals. I feel like they look more elegant. And then like the textured ones, the textured buttercreams, that's royal icing, and it dries hard, so it works. Yeah. And then I do some like gold foil. The ruffles on that one, that's wafer paper, rice paper, so it's edible. The gold up there is not edible, but it's just a little decor.
How do you have, what is wafer paper?
It's rice paper. You know those edible images people put on their cakes sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just,
okay.
Yeah, there's just nothing printed on it.
Yeah, you keep talking so I can keep
Is that
eating.
the same for when people do the gold chicken wings? Have you ever seen that?
Gold chicken.
No. They dip it in 24 karat gold or something like that, right? They're
It's
$4,000.
like a... Yeah, no, I don't spend that money.
But is that like the same?
And if you want to spend that money, by all means, but...
I'm just wondering if that's
This is
the
Buffalo.
same thing,
This isn't
right?
like Chicago or New York City.
I just didn't know if that was the same type of edible thing.
It's edible, but I buy that $20 version.
I love this. Okay.
That's cool. Okay, so your business is cakes.
Yes.
What else do you do outside? Do you do anything outside of cakes, or do you just do cakes?
Yeah, I'll do cakes, cupcakes. Here for the storefront, I'll sell a few types of cookies. I do the cutout cookies that you see, the real fancy ones that nobody really wants to eat. But they buy them, and you know what? I'll sell them.
Right.
I'll start doing a few smaller things here and there. I'll start to experiment. I do like making other desserts more so than cake now. I think just because I've been doing it for so long. I just got to feel it out a little bit. I just opened. So I want to see what the neighborhood wants. I want to see what'll sell. I don't know yet.
Did you move closer since you've opened, or do you commute?
Oh, I commute. It's a half an hour. 25 minutes, half an hour. It's not too bad.
Right.
That's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible at all. So
when you did... Oh, go for it.
I know, I'm fired up. I literally have a ton of questions.
This
but
cake is so good.
I know it is. So,
you.
but it's soft and lofty.
Yeah.
And I love that the icing.
soft and lofty.
Right? Did
Yeah.
you mean to do that?
Lofty. Oh, wow.
It's pretty good.
I haven't even heard that before. It's lofty. Cake is lofty.
It is. It's soft and lofty. Go ahead, put that in your marketing.
I will.
So, okay. First of all, your ovens matter. Okay, all ovens matter to a baker.
Yes.
So, where did you source them, and what was the process like in getting them, installing them, and that whole project? Because I'm sure that there's some stories involved in that.
Well, I'm going to leave part of it out.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll tell you later why. But I went online. I was looking for commercial ovens. I wanted a convection one, and with the place here, I would like a gas one only because it's cheaper than electric. But for me to install a gas one here, I would have to get a hood, and that's a whole nother process. You know, I have to break into the wall. It's more money, and I don't want to spend the money, especially because I'm leasing it. It's not like my place that I could buy it out. So I went with an electric one. It's the brand is Blodgett. It's very good. It cost an arm and a leg, and we had to turn it and flip it and like do our best to get it in through the doors. I got the guys from the pizza place next door to help us get it through. My brothers were here. It's like 500 pounds. So we hooked it up. I got an electrician to come in and install it, and it works. And you're eating the cake it baked, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, it clearly works because the cake is incredible.
Thanks.
So is that part of your process in having because bakery is about precision. So what was the process in figuring out how the oven bakes, what temperatures you actually need compared to what the recipe states? Because your oven is different. You just wing it a few times?
Wing it. I mean, it's got a fan, so it bakes more evenly than the home oven that I'm used to. But, you just cut down the time a little bit in the beginning. It does bake a little bit faster, by like 5 minutes or so. So, I don't know, you just wing it. I don't know. There's no process. You just hope for the best,
She's like,
man.
I'm just good at what I do, and it just comes out perfect every
Yeah,
time.
right. That's why we don't bake or
Right.
have this business.
So when you were designing this spot, this is a pretty large waiting room or front of house. Is your intention to have tables and people be able to come and grab a cannoli out of there and just chill, or what's the vision?
Yeah, maybe eventually. So if I had to do that, I would put bar stools up by the counters. I don't want to put tables in there. This one I had to get for the consultations and whatnot. But I would put bar stools up by the counters over there, and I'd have to hire people. Because at that point, if I'm so busy at the point where people are coming in and sitting and dining in, I'd get, an espresso machine or a big tea and coffee and have like a whole little cafe there. But I can't do it just myself. Because even on the days that I'm open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 12 to 6. And I'm running back between, customers and doing my weekend orders. So I have to feel it out. And I'm going to try to live with myself for a little while because I don't want employees. Yeah, I'd be terrible.
No, you'd be great.
No, I'd be so freaking anal. I think I'd just rifle through people because I have a certain standard and I am very blunt. I don't know if they would like to be around me all that much. Let's just put it that way.
But I feel like this industry kind of calls for that mentality because you don't really have a ton of room to play with when it comes to cakes.
Well, I mean, good help is hard to find.
Well, that too.
That's a big one. When I was at Muscarell's, I was overseeing their Christmas cookie operation, and they hired, I want to say it was like at least 15 people, and I had to make sure everybody had something to do. So that was my first sort of experience with
like management?
Yeah, like really managing people. And there was quite a few of them. And honestly, it sucked because people are stupid. People are stupid and they're lazy. You have 2 hands. Why are you only using one? And my one niece was hired too, and she was there 2 days a week. And I asked her, how is it going over there when I'm not there? And she goes, Katie, as soon as you leave the room, everybody just slows down. So, yeah, I had them running around a little bit, but I don't know.
But I mean, eventually you have to kind of think of that though, because you're gonna get big.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Good deal.
I'll get there, but I don't want to not. I want to see if I can pull the rest of this entire year by myself. Yeah.
So you mentioned weekend orders. So what's that process? How do people place orders? How do they reach out to you?
Honestly, right now it's a whole mess and a half. I get them through Instagram, through Facebook, through email, through text message, word of mouth, and then you get like those people who go through third parties. They're like, "Oh, my friend wants a cake. She wants this and this." And I was like, "Why doesn't she reach out to me?" They're like, "Well, she's shy." I was like, I don't care. I was like, I'm not doing this through. It's annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then it's like you're going through one person to another, and then sometimes things get lost in translation, and then it's just. So yeah, 'cause I get contacted a lot through social media. I think that's like my main source of acquiring customers right now. Yeah, it's been really good for me.
Do you have a website?
Yes,
Okay.
it's cakesbykatya.com. It was just put up a couple weeks ago. So people did start reaching through email right away. Yeah, but social media is big. I have an Instagram, my Facebook. I put all my cakes on there. People share things. So people are really good about it. You know, they share their posts and people order and word of mouth. So it's been good.
Especially in Buffalo. Word of mouth
Oh,
is
for
huge.
sure, for sure. Everybody knows everybody. You know, everybody knows somebody's friends with somebody who's friends with somebody. And it's nice, though. You know, it brings in business.
I mean, that's how you got recommended to be on our show.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, shout out to Stuffy Hake. Thank you. You're the best.
Do you like solicit feedback or ask for feedback on people who get your cakes to see?
Oh, God, don't ask that. Are you kidding
No,
me?
you could ask that.
It's like, I don't take recommendations. You shut up.
I ask for feedback.
Where's the off camera? We're done.
Yeah, I ask for feedback sometimes if I know the people well enough. Like if it's a customer that is a first time around, like I don't know who they are, I'm not gonna ask them because I feel weird about it. But if it's like a friend or family member, like I'll double, triple text them and be like, "How was the cake? Did it taste good? Was it dry? Did they enjoy it? Did your grandma like it?" Like I'll do that. And for the most part, everybody's pleased. I mean, once in a while you get somebody who, you know, they don't really care. Like there's people who order a cake because they have to, not because they want to, which is fine.
Yeah, but that's kind of sad, too, because, I mean, you're putting a lot into it.
Nah, I don't really care.
No?
I'm happy with it, and if they're happy with it, or like the rest of the crowd is, that's great. If they don't care, then I don't. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't care. let me put it this way: if they don't care what the cake is like, I'm gonna give them something that tastes good and looks nice, and that's not a lot of work for me because they're not gonna appreciate it. So I'll give them something simple and nice, and they'll pay for it. That's good. We're good.
Is there anything that we talked about the kids' cakes, and we won't go down that route again, but is there anything that you don't like to make? Like, really jelly frosting is the worst for you or whatever. Jelly filling, not frosting. That'd be weird.
Let's see. I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I don't know all this cake terminology. The filling, you know?
I think
Raspberry stuff.
it's not as much as like the actual cake flavor or filling. It's more of the decoration. Like people want me to make characters. I don't like making characters. I like I don't know. I don't like to, like, it was back to the baby shark thing, right? I don't like making the baby sharks.
Sure.
I don't like making like Garfield. I don't like to make things with names on them, I guess, is like I can do fondant work, but I don't like making people out of fondant. I don't like making cars. Those are hard.
Are you an artistic person?
Yes.
Yeah.
I draw. Yeah, our whole family has an artistic gene. We all draw. We're all sort of in that little pool. My one sister draws really, really good too. But yeah, no, I got the drawing gene.
How is it drawing on cakes? Do you do it all freehand or do you do stencils?
It depends what. I have some stencils for certain things, and then a lot of it's freehand. Yeah, a lot of it's freehand.
Wow.
Yeah, like there's that cake right over there with the kraken and the octopus. That was all freehand with the ship and whatnot.
Come on.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
I don't know, like 30 minutes.
You probably like doing that more though, right? Because that's more of your creative side.
Yeah, I do. And like the American flag one over there, it's like the bottom one, the square one, and all four tiers, there's a drawing on there. Like the one has an American flag. There's got that.
Yeah, you got Iwo Jima.
Yep. Yeah.
How long did that take?
It doesn't take that long.
She's like 30 minutes, Mike.
30 minutes, Mike.
That would take me weeks.
No, you just start looking at a photo and copy. I can copy and paste very well if it's a drawing. I used to draw portraits. I do that with a grid though. Like I put a grid over the picture and then I do it over the paper, and then I could replicate it for you pretty much. Like if you squint, it would look like a picture.
Really?
Yeah, but only if you squint.
I love her. She's awesome.
Wow. Okay,
You're
that's
so
crazy.
funny.
So I have a baking question for you.
Okay.
Because it differs from people to people.
Okay.
Now, when you make your cake and the sponge,
It's his favorite term.
do you have? Dude, I love baking.
You watch the Great British Baking Show?
I have watched every episode of British Baking
Okay.
Show. However, do you have trays that you make each sponge layer in, or what is your process for that? Because some of these are huge cakes.
Well, they're called cake pans,
Okay.
not trays.
Now he's going to
You
say
know what
that
I
for the
mean.
next person.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I have different size, 6, 8, 10-inch pans or whatever. You want a half-sheet cake, I'll put in a half-sheet pan for you. Yeah.
Okay.
They're just sizes, whatever people want, and that's how you bake it. If you get like a weird shaped cake, you have to carve it out a little bit.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, you have your cake pan, so you don't really waste it.
What do you put in the cake pan so it doesn't stick?
I spray it with oil, and then I put parchment on the bottom.
Fascinating.
So
Is
now
it though?
It is.
he loves baking. It's kind of
Really?
Yeah, I love baking.
Feel free to help me on a Monday or a Tuesday. I'm dead serious.
Fine. I live 10 minutes from here. I'm all fired up.
So
Lovely.
like this cake right here, the second one front in. Yep.
Yep.
Those. I mean, each layer is like 12 inches. So is that just consecutive sponges on top of each other, and then you just cut around it, or do you just bake it like that? Like I have zero idea about baking.
What was with the air quotes?
I don't know, because you're such a nerd and you love sponges, so I felt obligated to do quotes.
So, okay, if my cakes bake, they're maybe 3 inches tall.
Okay.
So I'd cut them. Normally, you get 2 layers out of each cake that I bake. For things that are super tall like this, there's actually a whole process for it. There's a cake board in the middle of the cake, and underneath you have dowels supporting it, because I don't want you cutting a slice that's 12 inches tall.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
get
obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like 2 cakes stacked on top of each other, and then you ice it and you fix it, and yeah.
Is there like an industry width of cake that is the best moisture? Like I don't like if you go 4 inches, it's too moist, but if you go 2 inches, you're dried out. You know what I'm saying?
I think the higher the cake is in the oven, the more batter you put in a cake pan, the more chance you have of drying it out.
Oh, okay.
Because it has to bake longer, so the edges brown more until it gets to the center. So the lower you go, the quicker it goes. But you have to watch it. Like there's a fine line, because once it bakes, or once it's overbaked and dry. But like the higher it is, the more chance it is of being too dry, overbaked.
Sure. Have you ever started building something? Like you have so many cakes out here that my eyes just keep going back and forth. But like the fondant work on this wedding cake or whatever it is, with the flowers on it, have you ever had this where the work that you've done is so heavy that it's actually bringing the cake down and losing its form?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you have to support it. Like for tiered cakes, you support each layer with dowels.
Okay.
So there's dowels in each cake, and then underneath each of the tiers, each one sits on a cake board, and there's dowels underneath, so it doesn't cave in. Now, if you don't put enough dowels in, if one of them isn't in straight, it could sort of tip, and then the cake starts to do one of these.
Are they wooden dowels?
Yeah, I use wooden ones. Some people use plastic straws, like really thick, durable ones. Some people use, I think just wooden or plastic, actually, yeah. So I've used wooden ones at Dessert Deli, and the ones at Muscarel's, they were real thick, but they were hollow, and I don't like that, because if you're having a 6-inch cake and then you have like 4 of those in there, you're getting almost a whole slice of cake in these stupid dowels.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, and then if it's more than one tier, you put a dowel all the way down from the top to the bottom of the center, so when you go to transport the cake, the tiers don't shift around. Yeah.
Now, that brings up a really good aspect that most people don't think of: delivery. Are you only pick up and then it's on them as soon as it walks out of your door, or do you deliver to the site?
So right now it's only pickup, but for big cakes, wedding cakes, things like that, I'll find a delivery guy, because I don't trust people with like a 3-tier cake. Yeah, and when I first started doing it, I have a Honda Civic. So I remember the one wedding, it was like a 5-tier wedding cake, and I put it on the seat of my car, and I leveled the seat and everything to make sure it wasn't tilted, and it was great. And I was going to it was like Clocks Grove. It was like almost a 40-minute drive for me. And everything went well until I pulled into their parking lot. And it was just a very little bump. And I was going super slow. And I don't know how it fall, but the whole cake went like this. And then it shot right back up. I was terrible. I had a heart attack. I just sweat profusely after that the whole time.
But it worked out.
It worked out, yeah, for the most part.
That has to be stressful. I wouldn't want to be that delivery guy.
Yeah, no, it's just drive slow and careful.
Right.
And put some non-slip mats underneath it.
Put a seatbelt on too.
Yeah, you have to.
Whatever to not have it fall over.
Yeah, they have these big they're called cake safes. It's like a big plastic box, and you can stick like a dowel down through the center of it, and it keeps it from rattling around. I've never used them before. It feels like too much work. Like I'd rather just like shit my pants on the way there, but instead of having to put it together for half an hour just for delivery and then take it apart over there and then come back and clean it.
Right.
So it's maybe in the future. Maybe I'll make somebody do it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
So stuff that you put on the cake, this is probably going to sound stupid, but you don't get that back, right? Like there's nothing that you would put on a cake that you would ask for, or they're obligated to give it back?
No, not generally. I sometimes offer people to get a faux cake for their wedding, and if they bring it back to me in one piece, I'll refund some of their money, so then I can display it or I can use it for something else. But for the most part, no, it's everything. They just, they don't know what happens to it.
So faux cakes for weddings, there's a part that's actual real cake though, right?
Yeah, some of it. It just depends on how they want it. Like when I was a dessert deli, they'd have a piece that they would cut for pictures. Some people, they want the whole thing faux, and they have a little tiny cake to cut. And then a preference. I don't like doing the piece in there. It's just an unnecessary step that you have to take. I'd rather have somebody just get a whole cake and cut into it and eat it.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's my take. Like, if people are undecided, I push to what I want.
Sure.
Because it's easier for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
It's gotta be.
all of your cakes that you've done, you can obviously come in here and see a lot of what you're passionate about on display. But you have your Instagram, you have your Facebook. What are your names and your handles on each?
It's Cakes by Katya.
Okay, so it's just at Cakes by Katya. Okay.
Yeah. Well, my Facebook one, because it's a personal account, it's Katie Blyshuk, my first and last name, but my Instagram is Cakes by Katya, and I just created a business Facebook one, Cakes by Katya, so it's just the name. Yeah, fairly simple.
Were you thinking about other names when you opened this business, or was it always Cakes by Katya? Really?
No, it was, I've been told, you should do Katie's Cakes. It's got better ring to it. I was like, well, Katya sounds foreign. It sounds like a Russian mail order brag, to be honest with you. And I'm like, but it'll make them think twice. You know what I mean? Like, you don't come across that. And there's a lot of places out there, and I follow a few on Instagram, like Katie's Cakes, Cake by Katie, Cakes with Katie. And I'm just like, well,
You don't want to be another one.
no, I think Katya's more interesting.
I also think it fits you too. Like
You
if
think
somebody
so?
asks like, "What do you do?" It's like, "I make cakes by me." And it's just like that ends the conversation. Like I just think it's perfect.
Oh, well, fair enough. That's funny. Yeah, I never got that before. No, people, I get what do you do? Oh, I bake cakes. Really? I was been told I see military before. Military, yeah, or something in law enforcement. I've gotten that a few times. I'm like, no, I make cakes. So, I don't know.
It's fine.
What do you like to do outside of cakes? Because you're only here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right?
No, I'm here all the time.
Oh, you are?
I'm
You're only open.
Yes,
Gotcha,
I'm
okay.
here all the time. Like, all the time.
I don't believe.
Yes, I don't leave. I have no life. I go to the gym. I like to lift weights. God, I'm so boring.
You're not. You own your own business with
Yeah.
hundreds of cakes around you.
I know. What do you
All the
expect?
ti- I'm here all the time. Like,
So is it a 12-hour day, 16-hour day, like
yes.
to both?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So all the time.
all the time.
And
So,
then, yeah, if you're not here, you're trying to see family, or you're not trying to see family based on earlier comments.
well, it depends on which ones. No, I try to see my family. There's a lot of them, and my one sister just had a kid like a couple of months ago. I've been there once, I'm not gonna lie. She's been here 3 times with the kid. Yeah, I see my one sister a lot because she lives 5 minutes away, and I see a couple of my friends. I have a very small circle. I try to go to the gym as much as I can, and I like to take a vacation once or twice a year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you like to go?
out of the country,
To where?
just not in the United States.
Okay.
So I just went to Mexico a couple months ago. Before that, I went to Dominican Republic. I took a Europe trip a couple years ago. We went to Barcelona, went to Lisbon, we went to London. I've been to, I said Dominican, Costa Rica, and I've been to Mexico a couple times. I've been to Ukraine, Italy. Yeah, a couple places.
And then outside of New York, not many states. Like, have you traveled the United States?
Not a whole ton. I've been to Florida.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of...
Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. I mean, Myrtle Beach when I was like 18. Canada. Toronto.
Yeah, so basically the United States.
The East Coast. Some of the
Right.
East Coast.
Yeah, there's really no difference. A lot of the Canadians that I know and worked with, they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Buffalo," and they're like, "Oh, you're an honorary Canadian." Like, correct.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
like my
Niagara Falls.
ID gets me into the same like country. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that whole thing passed, we all just laughed. We're like, literally, our driver's license gets us into a different country. Like, there's no difference.
Yeah.
There's no difference. So, but yeah, I would go west and see the rest of the United States too.
Yes.
There's some other benefits, other places to see.
I'd go maybe to Yellowstone or,
you
you
go.
know, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would like to go to Texas. Yeah, I went to Chicago once. It was for a little work thing. It was actually a cake class I went to that was sponsored by Dessert Deli.
Nice.
Yeah, and I liked the city. I liked it more than New York City. It was cleaner. I liked the architecture more. I'd go back there to sort of mess around and see what's what. Yeah, but other than that, I like to leave the country. Yeah.
Well, good deal.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Your cakes are fantastic.
Well, thank you.
And
I think you should have another piece.
I will. Don't
we
worry
will,
about that.
for sure. While we pack up, we will. But everybody go check her out. Her @ is Cakes by Katya on Instagram and Facebook, and then go online and order through the web. Do you prefer the website or do you prefer Instagram for orders?
I don't care.
Okay, just order.
I just
whatever.
get it all. At this point, it's just keep them coming.
What you need to do is you need to get your friend to text her to say that you want a cake, and then you guys can work through the third party. Cool. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.